Hello and welcome to the GearJunkie Weekly Roundup presented by Go RVing, where we run through some of the week's big headlines with GearJunkie editors. I'm Adam Ruggiero, joined by Mary Murphy and editor-in-chief Sean McCoy, who looks as relaxed as ever.
As always.
How are you guys doing?
Great.
Fall is here.
It is.
Denver.
It's great. Almost winter. Snowing.
Almost winter.
Snowing.
It's so nice.
Let's dive right into it. We have three headlines from the week. First of all, story running today about REI re-announcing its opt-outside campaign. That's no surprise. What is a surprise is that now in its fifth year, REI says its opt-outside campaign is not enough. So they are launching something called Opt to Act in conjunction with opt-outside. So all the stores will stay closed. All of the credit card payment processing, that's going to shut down, and they're paying all their employees to take Black Friday off per usual. But in addition, they are creating a 52-week action plan for members. And the impetus here is that they see the climate crisis as something that cannot be ignored, and they're trying to leverage opt-outside as something they can get people to reduce their carbon footprint. They've also made some new pledges on their own as a business. What I want to know is, do you guys think it will work? Do you think, oh, hi, Leica.
Yeah.
Do you think opt-outside is going to help motivate people to reduce their carbon footprint? Mary, we'll start with you.
I think, yeah. So, I mean, the opt-outside campaign has been going on for several years, as far as I have been aware. And I think it really helps to have tags and campaigns and more effort from them behind this to encourage people, not just their employees, but customers who are used to shopping there, to choose not to shop or buy or whatever on Black Friday. I'm not super familiar with the 52-week plan.
Basically, small actions. You know,
Yeah,
don't eat meat
it sounds
for
like a good idea. Hopefully, people are receptive to it. And
Do you think, though, I mean, I hope people are receptive to it also, but do you think tagging it to opt-outside, because opt-outside took off, it worked. Like
Yeah.
other businesses are following that lead, but do you think opt-outside, tagging this to opt-outside is going to actually motivate people to change their behavior?
I don't know.
What's your gut say?
My gut says yes, because opt-outside is pretty big, and using that to create a plan to encourage people to take the extra step is hopefully it's going to make things bigger. It's going to make opt-outside more recognizable.
So one issue I have, Sean, I'm going to pitch this one to you, is that a lot of businesses encourage people to, a lot of the messages, recycle more, or maybe don't eat meat, or check out your own little impact. And RI even said, through a bunch of little actions, we can create a massive change. However, how much of this really should fall on businesses, which in an individual business can have the same impact as 1,000 people?
Yeah.
Right? Like, so how much of this should REI be taking on its own versus encouraging members to change their behavior?
I think it's a great idea that REI is doing this. I definitely like the concept of putting in a year-round, always working on the environment, caring about cleanups and doing other things like this. To me, the problem is that it is latching onto this opt-outside campaign, which has been so successful over time.
Honestly.
Been crazy.
But do you think it's enough that REI is encouraging members, or do you think more of that onus falls on the business? Or
I
is it-
think it's great that they're encouraging members because they can have a big impact through their broad reach. We did a cleanup last week with United by Blue. Yeah, United by Blue, which is not that big a brand compared to REI. And yet we had 100 people in Boulder picking up trash. For 3 hours, we picked up almost 2,000 pounds of garbage over the course of a morning. And this is in Boulder, which is really a pretty clean town. We just did a couple bike paths and came up with 2,000 pounds of trash. If REI is able to motivate people in this kind of way that maybe they do on once a week throughout the year, that could add up to some pretty big changes, and it could be useful.
Cool. So if you want to check out that story, opt-outside is not enough. REI ups Black Friday ante. All the links to the materials in their 52-week plan is in that story at GearJunkie.com. Once again, it is the GearJunkie Weekly Roundup presented by Go RVing. Our next story comes from Mary Murphy.
Yeah. So this week we have a story on 2 hikers in California in the Eastern Sierras who found a human skeleton, an entire set of remains in their hiking. They actually went off route, so they were on the trail and they knew where they were going and they knew they were off route at some point. And they looked down and they saw a skull essentially in this boulder field. And they were able to get close enough and remove a couple larger boulders to uncover the skeleton. And obviously everyone's like, why is it there? Why was it never recovered? It's turned into a mystery thing. And I don't know, what do you guys think about people?
Well, what I thought was interesting, the way it was laying was noteworthy.
It was, yeah. So apparently the the hiker who found it, Tyler Hofer, he said that the arms were crossed and it looked very much like a burial. It was face up. The rocks were placed over certain areas of the body, so it was very much. It wasn't like someone had fallen down a crevasse or that it was an accident. It looked buried.
Is it wrong if it's somebody's last wishes to be buried at Mount Williamson to maybe hike a little bit off trail and bury them there?
I think
What's
it's
your take?
illegal. I don't know morally right or wrong. I think
Sure.
there probably was a period of time, hundreds of years ago, where that's the way that people dealt with the dead. But I think it definitely is illegal now.
Well, and that's possible too,
it's,
right?
Yeah,
It's been
if you can get a permit, it's legal
Yeah.
to like spread ashes and stuff.
Yeah, but
it's
you
a pretty
know
yeah.
if
And they know
the
it's
police-
there. Yeah. And the National Forest officials and the county sheriff's department, they looked at missing persons report and they're like, no one knew this was there. Like no one had been told of this person who had died or was placed there. So
What's the weirdest thing you've ever found on trail?
That's what I was just pondering myself. Found a wheelbarrow once in a weird spot, but it
garbage.
wasn't like
That's garbage.
No, it was like a new wheelbarrow. I'm pretty sure somebody had hauled it out into the woods.
Tell me
to
you
use
took it. Tell me you
I
walked it out.
thought about it because it was definitely in a wilderness area where you're not allowed to have wheeled devices, but I left it there. I
The
didn't feel like
weirdest
throwing it.
thing I've ever found wasn't actually on a trail. I found it while I was walking across a frozen lake, and I tripped over a mound in the ice, and I looked back, and I had like a Leatherman with me, so I just started chipping away at the ice, and it's a jade ram, and it was just frozen in the ice.
A jade what? A ram?
Yeah, like an actual, like a little figurine of a ram frozen in the ice.
I
What's
thought you were gonna say it was a
interesting?
person just like
No. What's interesting is I don't think it floats.
Jade.
no.
Yeah.
Somebody probably just dropped it on the ice, and then it melted
Well, how does
and
it-
refroze.
No, this is Minnesota. Once there was ice, there was ice. So
What if there was a layer of ice and then water
I
on
don't
top
know.
of it and then
I mean,
Yeah.
obviously something happened.
Yeah,
So I have
melted
that.
snow and then refroze on
Yeah.
top of it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So now I am the keeper of the Jade Ram. That's how I
should
got
bring
hold
that
of
in
the
here.
Jade
It
Ram.
should be here.
You're watching the Gear Junkie Weekly Roundup presented by Go RVing, and I get to do the live read, which
Ooh.
means
Like it.
that whatever your interests, wherever you want to explore, whomever you want to take along, an RV is the best way to travel. Check out some of the top reasons to go RVing at GoRVing.com, and check out Gear Junkie. We're doing a big campaign with Go RVing. We've got some great tips for RVing, so check that out at GearJunkie.com. Our thanks to Go RVing for sponsoring the weekly roundup. Sean, as always, last but never least, what's your story?
Sweet. Well, this week I'm talking about something that is near and dear to my heart: coffee. But coffee mugs, how you drink it, because that stuff is so heavy. If you're carrying a big heavy mug like this in the woods, backpacking, it's just a lot of extra weight. So I wrote that my favorite coffee mug is a GSI Outdoors Infinity backpacking mug. It weighs very little and it costs $10. And you know, getting some comments back and some feedback, it seems like a lot of people have a go-to, but it's not always, you know, the most reasoned out, I think. Sometimes it's just kind of like, oh, I have that one, I don't care if it breaks, I'll bring it back. This one really it works.
To be fair, you didn't just say it was your favorite. You said backpackers, this is the only one you need. And to
I
be fair,
stand
it does
behind
look
it.
cool. It does look cool. It does
17
look
and a half ounces, I think, which is big enough you could use it for like a soup bowl if you really needed to. It's a good-sized insulated mug that weighs like 3 ounces or 3.5 ounces.
Yeah.
And it costs $10. Like, if you don't like it, you're not out a lot. I'd be surprised if you didn't. We had one comment that the guy said it dribbled and dot his head because it would dribble when he drank from it, and then he'd get a dot on his forehead from the mug's like.
I think it was on his nose.
On his nose, and I was like, I never have had this problem, but you know what?
Dude,
It's
that's
not,
totes adorbs.
It is totes adorbs, but yeah, I mean, coffee mugs. What do you have? What do you use for backpacking? You drink coffee? for backpacking?
Okay, I'm the wrong person to ask because I have so many insulated vessels. Obviously, Hydro Flask, Yeti, Stanley stand out as my favorites, and I kind of use them all for different reasons, but it's not just, I don't actually have a favorite because it kind of depends on how big like the bottle
But for
pocket is.
backpacking, like if you're going to be going for days and you have a lot of gear that weighs and it adds up, I mean, something like this is a pound on its own without
So
anything in it.
we actually got samples of a Yuko collapsible mug that I'm excited to try using. My only reservation is it's silicone, and I don't necessarily like hot liquids in silicone.
Yep.
Honestly, Hydro Flask and Stanley, for kind of different reasons. I think of Stanley kind of as my hot drink and Hydro Flask more as my cold drink, but I'll use them both interchangeably. But what I like is they're generally no frills. I don't necessarily need a handle, and I can slide it just about anywhere in a pack, and I know it's going to be there. That's me. Mary?
Well, so I also have the GSI Outdoors Infinity mug, which I usually always have in the office, so I'm missing it today. But I think it's great. The heating, the thermal component is like a neoprene sleeve. So you take that off and it weighs absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
The handle is cloth, so if you need to put it in a bag, you can just fold it. I like it because it looks fairly small. Like usually people's comment to me is like, one, like, what is that? What is that?
Who are you? Why are you in my
what
house?
mug is that? I don't recognize it. But their second comment is, oh, it's so small, but it's 16 or 17 ounces. It's just wider on the bottom, so it's perfect for
round,
camping.
big.
I mean, I bring it to the office every day.
I will say this, after having read
It's
your
durable.
article...
I've used it for 4 years, so I know it lasts. I know it's a go-to.
Mine's at
It's-
least 6 years old.
It's not microwavable, but I don't really
don't have a microwave when I'm
coffee, so.
backpacking.
I backpack with my microwave. I don't know
So-
about you
Yeah.
guys.
Do you
But
have
what
one of
I
those
will
little
say...
mini solar microwaves?
I will say
Pop-up
that
microwave.
what I did like about it, I read it and I haven't used it. I'm the only person at this table that doesn't have one, GSI. It's simple. Like it's kind of an idiot-proof design. It's just a neoprene sleeve and a basic mug. It's got a plastic lid.
It's got an
not
O-ring.
overthought.
It's got a catch. So
And
you
this
can-
is in an
Yep, it
era
snaps
when
shut.
everything is
Pop the
like
lid on.
advertised as like it's got a trademark lid name and it's double wall vacuum insulated
Yeah.
and everything's got like this own little brand marketing to it. And it's just it's a mug.
It's a
And
mug
you
that
get a
works really
$10
well.
mug.
That's worked really well for a long time.
Yeah. I can't think of a better one. If somebody knows of one that they like better for a reason, I know there's lots
Fight
of
Sean.
Yeah, fight. I have a lot of respect for people who carry around whatever they want to carry around. Let me know why. Titanium, you like titanium? That's great. I'm sure it's nice and light. The only problem is it bleeds heat out instantly. You pour something hot into titanium and they're not insulated usually. I don't know.
I just think it's funny you
can't
use the
think-
word bleed out as you always do, Hunter Man, just thinking of processing an elk somewhere.
Sometimes it's gotta be done.
That's it, right, guys? That's our weekly roundup.
Yeah.
I think that is. It's
That
been a good week.
was this week's weekly roundup presented by Go RVing. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Adam.
And you're welcome, guys. See you guys next week.